Hey everyone, I hope you are fine and healthy. So today's podcast is really special as we are having Neel with us. So he is recently placed at Oracle. तो स्टार्टिंग से हमारा एक सपना होता है कि जब भी हम इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में आते हैं, जब भी हम आगे की लाइफ सोचते हैं तो हमें एक अच्छा सा पैकेज, अच्छा सा प्लेसमेंट चाहिए रहता है सो दैट वी कैन लिव आवर ड्रीम लाइफ. एंड फॉर द सेम टुडे वी आर हैविंग नील विद अस. तो वो अपनी कंप्लीट जर्नी शेयर कर रहे होंगे हमारे साथ कि हाउ ही गॉट प्लेस्ड एट ओरेकल, राइट. सो विद अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू डिस्कस इन माइंड, let's get started. So hi Neel, how are you?
Yeah, so hi Chirag. So I'm doing great, Chirag. So a brief introduction about myself. So hello everyone. I'm a final year undergrad student at SVNIT Surat in the field of computer science and engineering. So I recently got placed at Oracle. So we'll be discussing more about my journey throughout my college life in this video.
Exactly. बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो आपसे डिस्कस करनी है. बट द फन थिंग दैट केम टू माई माइंड when I listened that you are placed at Oracle. So how was that feeling when you just got placed? Like how it feels like?
Yes. So it's difficult to describe this in the video, but it's like whenever you see a pressure cooker, so the सीटी बजती है तो तब कैसा फील होता है. So all the pressure or the stress that you have been facing through your placement season gets relieved in one point. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's a great experience. Like the first thing I did is I called my parents and all my friends and all my mentors, especially the Aman sir at Placewit, and informed that I got the offer.
Exactly. So as you said that you were really like happy, you shared with your mentors and parents, so it's a great feeling. But it all started when you started coding. So how was your coding journey like? Because getting placed at such big company requires some good tech skills. So how it all started?
Yeah. So to give a brief about my coding journey, so during my first year of engineering, I was familiar with C++. So in our course, there was a subject also known as web development. So in which we were, familiarized with the web development tech stack. So the front end, they mostly covered HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the back end at that time was implemented in PHP and MySQL. So most of my projects revolved around the same, and I tried to join a few workshops with C++, data structures and algorithm. But in the first year it feels very overwhelming that it feels a little bit difficult to get started with it. Yeah. So in my second year of engineering, I tried to do freelance work. So if there is a web development opening in any club, so I was the first one to jump in and start working with them as a team. So the second year of my college life, so mostly I was building web development projects. And in third year I joined Placewit.
तो जैसा कि आपने बोला कि you were really into exposure, like you tried things, you explored things, you did some freelancing work, development, and at the end you joined Placewit. So how was the experience at Placewit basically?
So the Placewit journey was quite fruitful for me as far as I can say. So it helped me to develop my portfolio overall. So starting from my data structures and algorithm concepts, as well as my computer science fundamentals, and it also helped me to develop web development project, because MERN-Stack was something that I was always struggling at, because there are not a lot of good platforms to start learning MERN-Stack, because it's a very wide field. Yeah. So Placewit helped me come together, like and the live classes helped me a lot, because one-to-one session with a mentor is a completely different experience.
Because one thing that I personally feel is that okay, all the resources are available, but हम हर शिष्य को एक गुरु की ज़रूरत पड़ती है. ऐसा क्यों कहा जाता है? बिकॉज गुरु को एक मतलब अंत तक दिख रहा होता है. ही कैन सी द एंड जर्नी, द एंड गोल दैट यू वांट टू अचीव, राइट. एंड फॉर द सेम अ स्ट्रक्चर्ड वेल प्लान्ड स्ट्रेटजी इज रिक्वायर्ड, एंड that's where the Placewit soul came into your journey, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So like I started preparing for internship season in my second year, in the starting of my third year, but I struggled with like a lot, because जैसे आपने बताया कि कोई एक जगह नहीं होती है जहाँ पे हर चीज़ अच्छे से बताई जाती है कि आपको क्या क्या करना है. Yeah. So a guide that is always present with us, conducting mock interviews, that is quite helpful. Like वो जो pressure होता है वो आप पे relieve हो जाता है, because कि जो आपको पढ़ा रहा है has achieved something good, has done something good in his life, and will help you to achieve the same.
Exactly, that's the point. So one more question that came to my mind is that हम Placewit की यहाँ पे बात करें तो one thing that we discuss about is strategically structured course, managed way to learn things, mock interviews. So how was the teaching style basically?
Yes. So the teaching style was quite impressive actually. So when I started Placewit, the first interaction was with the demo class. So the demo class seemed very impressive, you know, the way that, so the thought that always comes to our mind is कि भाई ऐसा ही पढ़ाया जाएगा फ्यूचर में, या जो डेमो में दिखाया जा रहा है तो सिर्फ ऐसा ही है. So yeah, so that's a big fear that we have. But like when I joined Placewit, so my DSA mentor was Akshat sir. So he was very friendly from the first day itself. उन्होंने पहले ही बता दिया था कि हम 6 to 8 months के लिए कनेक्टेड रहने वाले हैं, तो प्लीज टीचर स्टूडेंट वाला फील नहीं होना चाहिए. इफ यू हैव डाउट्स, सो वी हैड डाउट सेशन एवरी डे इन द फर्स्ट 15 minutes. लाइक इफ यू हैव सम डाउट्स देन इट वाज डिस्कस्ड. So you know, the process was quite smooth. The curriculum was designed very well. So the first 6 months was focused on DSA, and then we started with the web development projects, as well as then we moved on to the fundamentals revision. So yeah, I can say the curriculum was very well planned.
एक चीज़ आपने बोली कि डाउट सॉल्यूशन और डाउट रिजोल्यूशन काफ़ी ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है. सो दैट वाज रियली गुड एट दैट.
सो व्हाट जनरली हैपेंस इज, अभी भी काफ़ी प्लेटफॉर्म आपको मिल जाएंगे जहाँ पे आप कोडिंग सीख सकते हो. बट द थिंग इज कि 1-to-1 डाउट्स, क्योंकि कोडिंग क्वेश्चन करना ज़रूरी नहीं है, नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चन डजंट मैटर. ऑल इट मैटर इज कि आपका अप्रोच कैसे था. सो whenever you have a 1-to-1 mentor, so yeah, it differs a lot, because वो आपकी हर एक अप्रोच डिस्कस करना चाहेंगे, आपका हर एक सॉल्यूशन के बारे में डिस्कशन होगा. So you know, solving a less number of problems, you can get to learn a lot more.
जैसे एक और क्वेश्चन मेरे मन में था कि फैकल्टीज से रिलेशन कैसा है, बट एज यू लाइक आपने अभी तक में हमारी कुछ मिनट की पॉडकास्ट में ही आपने अमन सर का, अपनी फैकल्टीज़ का डिस्कशन इतनी बार कर दिया, तो दैट कैन सिंपली आई कैन रिलेट के कितना अच्छा जो कॉन्टेक्ट और रिलेशनशिप जो है वो टीचर स्टूडेंट में वहाँ पे रही होगी. So definitely that's amazing.
Yes, even the last class that we had for our data structures and algorithm was very emotional. Like it was the last class for our sense from our mentor Akshat sir, and like, you know, all the students were like almost crying. It was a very emotional scene because we have been connecting with him with 6 months almost. We had everyday classes, weekly classes, so it was a great experience.
Exactly, and that relation has become because somehow the teacher has helped you and you have understood, and like a relationship has been born. And the relationship worked out well because they helped you when you were not motivated enough. Because while in your coding journey, there are some cases when you are not motivated enough or you get demotivated because questions you are not able to solve and you're not able to understand some concepts. So how did you handle that part of the journey?
So as we have discussed, like the journey that we are talking about is comprising of almost 7 to 9 months. So it's a very long duration. तो रास्ते में आपको कभी ऐसा भी फील होगा कि like मैं ये क्यों कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि ऐसा काफ़ी पॉइंट आता है कि लाइक व्हेन यू आर यू नो गिविंग कॉन्टेस्ट, आपसे क्वेश्चंस ही नहीं होते हैं. सो तब आपको ऐसा फील भी होने लगता है कि लाइक व्हाई डिड आई ऑप्टेड फॉर कंप्यूटर साइंस. यू नो, आप अपने आप को काफ़ी ही एक थॉट प्रोसेस में डाल देते हो. और तो वहाँ से बाहर आने में मुझे मैं यहाँ के मेंटर से बहुत हेल्प की है. लाइक ईशान सर वाज माय मेंटर. सो व्हेनेवर आई यूज्ड टू फील डाउन, सो आई जस्ट यूज्ड टू मैसेज हिम कि सर आई नीड अ स्मॉल मीट ऑफ 5 minutes. And you know, he used to join and he's currently placed at Microsoft. So you know, he's working at Microsoft. Yeah, so he used to share his experience, like कि बहुत अच्छी लाइफ होती है सॉफ्टवेयर को डेवलपर्स की, और तुमने जो पाथ चुना है वो काफ़ी सही है. और वो फिर हमारे पोटेंशियल पे डिस्कशन होता था. और you know, he always used to keep me motivated. And whenever you feel down, the only thing that I can say is you guys are all aware कि we get very well paid, right? Compensated for our jobs, right? Yeah, so that's a big motivation. So you can, you know, just keep a chart in front of you. You're the top paying companies, and you know, just keep preparing. That's all I'll say.
So one thing that you mentioned is how teacher motivated you, right? So how was your placement strategy like?
Firstly, I started with the DSA revision. So the DSA was very well covered in the period of 6 to 8 months in the course of Placewit. So the thing is, like, if you don't revise very well, you know that you are also not able to solve the questions that you have solved previously, even if they appear once again in the coding round. So yeah, so the revision is the most important part that I would say of the DSA journey. And you know, when coming to mock interviews, so mock interviews were conducted at regular interval in Placewit. So that helped us a lot, like to be familiarized with the pattern, how the interview moves on. Yeah, so in case of web development projects, so what I'll say is you need to be thorough to your project, like which tech stack you opted for, not even which tech stack you opted for, what is the unique part in your project. Similar projects are available in the online platform or not. Like, yeah, from where did you get your idea? So a lot of questions are asked about the same in the interviews.
That was actually my next question. That we have talked about DSA, but projects are also really important because once you clear the coding round, the interview will discuss around or go around your projects, your tech stacks and all the things. So how you managed your DSA with your projects, and how important are the projects considering interviews or your resume part?
What I did is, when I was mastering the DSA, so in the same timestamp, I tried to learn the tech stack, get familiar with the tech stack. That was I moved to Munstack when it came to interviews, because I knew that it is the most commonly used tech and it is the highly scalable technology. So we should be working on that rather than working with the PHP MySQL. So yeah, so I started working on the project side by side. So if you're done with the DSA, then you can give more time to your project. So it generally starts with the DSA with a little bit of learning tech stack, and then when you have moved on to the revision part of your DSA, then you can devote more time of your placement preparation to projects and CS fundamentals.
So in your interviews, how important were the role of your projects? Because a lot of students think that okay, DSA is important, DSA is important. DSA is definitely important, but projects are also important. So how was that in your play?
So we had 3 technical rounds of interviews in our case. So the first 2 technical round of interviews started with the data structures and algorithm question, and then we were asked to then we were given a puzzle that we need to solve. And after that, the complete discussion on the interview was regarding our projects and regarding on our resume. So resume plays a very important role also. So the questions that I mentioned previously also, and the commonly asked question you can find on internet also regarding your project. So the tech stack you opted for, and regarding that. Yeah.
The frequently asked questions are the only questions that are asked frequently, and I have also personally felt that those questions are only asked in the interviews, so they can be really helpful for you. So one question that I want to ask is like during that whole part of interviews and all the things, one thing apart from we have discussed about DSA, we have discussed about development, how you manage that, how the role they played in your interviews. One thing that is really important that people are not aware of is your soft skills, or the temper, or the confidence that you show in your interviews. So before entering the virtual meet, so first of all, I would like to ask that if your interview process was virtual or it was offline?
Yeah, it was virtual.
Okay, it was virtual. So my question will seem more relatable. So whenever before starting to enter the virtual meet of your interviews, how does it feel? Because a lot of mixed feelings are going on, nervousness, anxiety, and a lot of things are going on in the mind. So how you make yourself calm and go into the interviews and crack them?
Yes. So what I'd like to say is that in the journey of Placewit, we had around 16 mock interviews. So one thing I can say is that the mock interviews help you a lot. So in the initial phases of practicing mock interviews, I used to get tense before joining the meet. It always happened to me, and it affected my interview a lot, because I was not able to focus on the DSA questions and I was not able to come up with a proper solution. So what one of my friends suggested is that you can try a little bit of meditation before joining the interviews. So clear your mind basically, because that any last minute thoughts that you have will just disturb you rather than helping you for the interviews. Yeah, because you have worked a long time, like you have worked 7 to 8 months on your profile. So if you're 100% confident, or if you're confident on yourself, the study, your preparation, then it would help you to calm down.
These are some points that are really important, but they are really not taken care of. But that's really great that you shared, and I'm definitely sure that our audience will be held out of it. So the next thing that I want to ask is that how has the resume played important role in your interviews, and any resume tips if you're having?
So for resume tips, what I would like to suggest is to just follow the standard resume format that is used by everyone. Yeah, and make sure your photograph, your passport size photograph is not present on your resume, because for some people it might seem appealing, but it doesn't seem that much professional. To talk about my resume, so the first 2 rounds of interview were mostly based on my resume. So after covering the DSA and the puzzle, so the questions revolved around my resume, like on my projects and the tech stack or my internship experience. Like in one of my interviews, that was I'm not talking about the Oracle. So one of my interview experience with InCraft Solutions, so which is a startup. So like I had mentioned that I am the training and placement coordinator of SVNIT Surat. So a 15-minute discussion was just on that, like how was the recruitment process and that all. So it can happen, like you should be thorough through your resume. The questions can be asked on your project also as well as on your certifications. So for projects, what I think is the one thing is like you come up with an idea and you build your project around that. But the another, that is the best way to come up with a good project, is take part in a hackathon, because you'll learn a lot. You'll be building the project in a very short period of time. You'll be working with the team, so that would be a great experience. Yeah, and mostly the project you work on hackathon is your own idea. That would add a very plus point to your resume. So if you have not started taking parts in hackathon, I would suggest that take some time out of your schedule and go ahead for it, because it would be a great learning experience.
One thing that I personally feel is that Neel can read my mind basically, because the next question I wanted to ask was that only, that how a fresher can get started with coding or get better at coding. And the same things that you have mentioned about the hackathon and all the things are really, really great. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so for a completely new learning experience, like if you're starting from scratch, what I would suggest is to first select a language and get familiar with it. So make sure that the language that you opt for your data structures and algorithm also supports OOPS, that is object oriented programming, because as you know, like the interviews are a lot focused on your CS fundamentals as well, because they play a major role in your interviews. So you should be sure that the language that you are selecting is versatile. You should be able to apply the same language in different coding rounds.
So that was really, really helpful. So we have discussed a lot, starting from your whole journey, that how it all started, how Placewit helped you, how you freelanced, how you started different web development projects, then how you cracked the interviews, how the soft skills apart from DSA and development help in your selection, how resume, any tips on resume that you added apart from that soft skills. We have discussed everything. So it was really, really great session. Apart from that, your advice to the freshers that how they can get started, right? So thank you, Neel, for such an amazing session. I really loved it. I really learned a lot from you, and I'm definitely sure that जिसने भी ये podcast देखी है, they will definitely get some good out of it.
So one last thing to conclude, it's never too late to start your journey. So even if you are in your final year and you haven't still got placed yet, it's not too late. So if you're 100% focused, you can cover the same curriculum in the period of 4 months. It's all about your dedication. So Placewit helped me a lot, because it was quite difficult for me, because I was not able to secure a good internship, a good on-campus internship. So yeah, it demotivated me a lot. But like after joining with Placewit, connecting with Aman sir, Akshat sir, as well as web development Mukul sir, so it was an amazing experience. So they helped me a lot, to basically solve my doubts and guide me.
Definitely. And as you mentioned that how Placewit helped you, so to all our audience, if you're looking forward to grow in your journey, to get some good opportunities like Neel did, so you can definitely check out Placewit. You will find the link in the description and all the information on this channel. So it is really, really great platform where you can enrich your skills. So thank you, Neel, for such an amazing session. I wish you all the luck for all your future endeavors, and thank you.
Here at Placewit, you get a dedicated team of mentors and instructors from top companies who will support you until you are placed at a company that you actually deserve. You will be taught with a battle tested curriculum, including everything that is required for an amazing placement, like coding, computer science subjects, projects, resume building, mock interviews, etc. And the best thing about Placewit is that they offer you a job guarantee without any upfront cost. This simply means that you can join Placewit and start the preparation for free with a guaranteed job. So check out the link in the description if you want to get placed in a top company. Thanks for watching.